Let's talk a little bit about some of the issues particularly important to this campaign. What do you see as some of the bigger issues that are surrounding this particular congressional district?
Well, as we go around the district, the main issue is the economy. And until the last couple of weeks here, it wasn't the financial mess that we have today, the bailout, the discussions up there. It was more the energy situation with high gas prices, high diesel prices. And I think that basically the high gasoline prices are basically underpinning the entire inflationary trend in our economy right now. And I think if we can get control of that, I think we have an opportunity to control the inflationary trend in our economy and get people back to work. We've got to get people back to work. We've got to get our economy back on its feet. And right now, the inflationary trends are causing people to not have enough money to spend anymore. It's causing employers and businesses to cut back on employees, and that's just sort of a vicious circle that's going to cause us to go into a recession here. So it looks like, to me, the important thing is that we need to start drilling off our shores in Anwar, and the oil shale out in the west needs to be developed. I think we've got to find some new, I think we have to find a way to get these new oil refineries fast-tracked so we can develop our own resources here. We have an American problem that has an American solution if we have the national will and a national policy to solve it. And at this point, my opponent doesn't seem to want to come to the table on this issue, but I think it's paramount. It is the issue of this time to get this under control. Because if we don't, it's going to linger, and it's going to cause us to continue to be uncompetitive in the world with our products, and it's going to continue to cause us great concern and problems here at home. Now, the energy problem doesn't just stop there. And again, it's part of a big problem with the economy. There's many facets to this. You have the situation with the electrical problem, which in 2025 we're going to have a need of about 50% more electricity in this country, and we have no infrastructure in place right now. And I support a policy of all of the above. I think we need to have nuclear. I think natural gas, coal, wind, solar, all of it needs to be renewable fuels. All of it needs to be on the table as a part of a solution to this problem. Then you get to the tax portion of the problem. Right now, I think that the worst possible thing that we could do is propose a tax increase, because we've shown this last summer with the $150 billion stimulus package that what would have happened if we wouldn't have had that with the high gasoline prices. It was able to temper, that stimulus package was able to temper the problems of the high gas prices this summer, help people pay their fuel bills, if nothing else, to get them over the hump here this last summer. What would have happened if we wouldn't have had that? It would have been a disaster. And I think that right now we're spending over $700 billion a year in transfer of funds to foreign nations, some of them who do not like us very much, to purchase this oil. And just imagine what would happen if you had that $700 billion and stuck it into our economy, not just once, but every year. It'd be phenomenal. The growth we would experience, the jobs we would create, the business activity that would go on. That's how you grow the economy, by bringing those dollars home and investing them here at home. And now a part of this total economic process and mess here is our financial situation with the banks, the mortgage banks, investment companies, insurance companies, all struggling right now with the debacle of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And because of those two agencies, this whole thing has started to implode, and it all goes back to, in very simplistic terms, there's a whole lot more to it than this, but it all goes back to the 95 deregulation of the industry, the discussion of deregulating and loosening up of the credit requirements to get loans. And as a result of all that, we now have a problem here that's facing this country where we're on the verge of literally another Great Depression if we don't find a solution to this. Now, fortunately today, the Congress found a solution to it. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the package yet to see if it's something that I could support or not support, so I can't give you an opinion on one way or the other. But at the end of the day, the thing that has to happen is we have to underpin our entire financial structure with confidence again. And we have to find a way to do that in a way that doesn't impact the taxpayer. It puts some regulatory processes in place that don't allow this to happen again, and need to punish those who were responsible for it. And I think that as a former bank regulator, what we used to do when we had a bank in trouble was do what we call a workout program, where you would leave them with the mess they made and put them under very, very tight regulatory supervision, very tight monitoring and reporting requirements, And when you did that, it was sort of like babysitting them, but yet they were responsible for getting themselves out of this mess. And that is where I hope this package went today. I haven't seen it, so I can't make a determination of that. But that's what needs to happen, is we need to work ourselves out of this. We don't need to have the taxpayers on the hook for a lot of dollars. We need to, again, force some new regulations in place that make sure this doesn't happen again, and again, penalize those who have done things illegally.
I want to shift gears a little bit from the economy to another issue that is very important on a national level, and that is the issue of health care. How would you bring health care to more Missourians and do so on a national level if you're elected to the position that you're running for?
Well, I think there's several things that can be done, and one of the things that I did when I was in the House was I worked with the high-risk pool, which is for people who can't get any insurance at all. They're uninsurable for a particular reason, whether they have diabetes or they've had cancer or they've had some sort of disease that is something that makes them uninsurable by any insurance company. Those folks are the ones who are desperate for some sort of coverage, and I was, every year I was in the House, I worked on this bill, and the final year I was there, I got it through the House, through the Senate, and died the last day of session on the Senate floor. Fortunately, the issue was taken up, my banner was taken up by somebody else and passed 2 years later, so the high-risk pool was revamped. We were the last state in the nation to do this, to make it an affordable, accessible program for those people who could not find insurance anywhere else. I think that's a good place to start, is to find some sort of a safety net program for those people who need the coverage and can't find it at all. That's an important place to start. I think the second thing we need to do is we need to find a way to allow, especially small businesses, to be able to form business pools, to be able to go to insurance companies and say, hey, we've pooled all our business folks. Now instead of a group of 5, we've got a group of 500, or a group of 250, whatever it is. Now we can buy coverage at a cheaper rate because you're blocked in or locked into a block of folks here. I think you can find ways to save dollars within the system by allowing the patient and the doctor to make their own decisions as to what is the most cost-effective way to address a particular illness or situation. And to give you an example, I was talking to a doctor the other day, and he was talking about an elderly patient who was on Medicare, who had an infection in her body, and the best way to treat it was to put a port in her arm through which to deliver antibiotics. She didn't need to be hospitalized. She could go home and probably just have a home health care nurse take a look at her every day or every 2 days, whatever it was, and administer the drugs herself through the port. But the problem was that Medicare said you couldn't do this. You couldn't go home and do it yourself. You had to go to a nursing home to do this. Well, obviously, if the doctor felt that this particular individual was capable of going home and taking care of herself, she was in good shape, cognizant of everything, and capable of doing it all herself, just a home health care nurse come in from time to time, take a look at her. That's a much, much cheaper way to deliver as good, if not better care at a much better price, much more cost-effective way than to send her to a nursing home. So I think there's ways to look at the process of delivering care where we can save some money. So I mean, there's a lot of things like that I think we can do to improve the ability of our healthcare system to deliver better, more care, give better access at a more affordable price.